Hi, and welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx Racing. Vince Cellini seated alongside my good friend, senior interactive producer Bill Kim. Sitting in for Marty Snyder, who's busy covering some other sport.
We won't say what.
The holiday weekend is fast approaching, and that means it's a marathon weekend in terms of our next race. It's the Coca-Cola 600 Charlotte Motor Speedway. Bill, mile-and-a-half quad oval. They talk about this possibly being the fastest track on the circuit, but there's no question this is the longest race of the year. There's a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah, there's absolutely no question about that. 400 laps, 600 miles at Charlotte Motor Speedway. One of the fastest. I think Atlanta might have it by an inch, but Charlotte definitely up there as far as speed is concerned. And look, Vince, there are 4 races that these guys want to win in a season. You got the Daytona 500, the Southern 500 in Darlington, the Brickyard 400 in Indy, and this baby on Memorial Day weekend, the Coca-Cola 600. This race is special. 1960, we saw our first 600-mile race. It's been here ever since, and these guys love it.
Yep, we got the All-Star race out of the way. It's a nice tune-up, but now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
It's time to roll
here.
now.
All right. What about this track and what about this race? We talked to 3-time champion Jimmie Johnson about which is more taxing, the physical or the mental aspect of going that extra 100 miles.
It's a little of both, and oddly enough, we have like a mental time clock of how long it takes to run a race, and it changes per track. You just, at some point, know, oh, you gotta be close to the end now. When that clock hits in your mind, you're like, oh no, we still got 100 miles or 150 to go. Man, wow, this is a long race.
Jimmie looking pretty sharp in that All-Star race, but what can the other drivers learn from being in that short sprint to the marathon that's going to be happening this Sunday?
Yeah, well, we go from a 90-mile race to a 90-lap race, to a 400-lap race. So there are some differences, obviously, but there are some similarities too. And what we saw in the All-Star race is that you can actually pass cars. We saw A.J. Allmendinger get that flat tire at the very beginning of the showdown before the green even came, had to pit, and was able to work his way back into one of the 2 transfer spots, finished second in the showdown in just 40 laps. That's essentially a fuel window. So if you have the car, you can go through this field. What we saw Jimmie Johnson do with Kyle Busch in the first segment of the All-Star race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Allmendinger again in the All-Star race, Casey Kane. These are all guys who were able to drive from the back up to the front. So this is good news for these drivers with 400 laps to work with here. They can work their way up to the front. If you're stuck in the back, it's not a panic situation. You can get your way back up there.
Yeah, but I like what you said. I mean, you have to have a good car here. You better have a race plan. So what are some of the keys to victory this week at the Coke 600?
Well, you use that perfect word there, Vince, which is plan. You have to have a plan because you start this race under the sunlight. You're in Charlotte, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a beautiful day outside. Then you go through dusk. The track changes there. Then you hit nighttime. You're under the moon and the stars. The track changes once again. So the crew chiefs have to have a plan for basically 3 different races in this 600-miler. And the interesting thing, and we saw this in the All-Star race too, is that cautions are at a premium this year. Guys are just racing clean. We're seeing a lot of long green flag runs. That was probably the cleanest All-Star race in history, where you had just 2 cautions for engines blowing up. That was it. No wrecks, no anything. That's kind of been the theme of the season. I think you're going to see that again in this 600, is that you're going to have long green flag runs. So those adjustments, those don't come very often. So the crew chief and the team, they get ahead of the track. Those are the guys you're going to see up front at the end of the race. Also, late race strategy has been a thing in the Coca-Cola 600 recently. You look back 2007 to now, we have seen 5 different winners in 5 different races, and we've seen some names that you don't see very often in Victory Circle. Guys like Casey Mears, Casey Kane won, David Rudiman also won, and all of these victories came with some gambling at the end of the race. So, it's 600 miles and these drivers have a lot on them, but a crew chief could be the one that wins this race for their team.
That was a very extensive and very informative analysis. So having said that,
yeah, make a pick.
Why don't you make a pick this week and tell me who you like?
I like this week. I like the trend of kind of some rare guys getting a victory. I don't think we're going to see a first-time Cup winner in the 600, but I do like Martin Truex Jr. to kind of surprise everybody and pull one out in Charlotte. He's done great on mile-and-a-half so far. 2nd in Kansas this year, 6th in Texas. And something about that Michael Waltrip Racing team, they are so close to getting into victory lane. I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to throw a little curveball at you here and take Martin Truex Jr. in 56.
See, I'm going right down Broadway. I'm going right down the middle.
Pick him.
Here. Yeah.
Do it.
I got to go with Jimmie. I got to go with Jimmie just because of his history at this track. 9 victories on this track. He's won 5 of 6 in Charlotte during that mid-2000s stretch. 5th in points, and I think after that early season struggle, they figured something out. I mean, look at him in the All-Star sprint. So he's been great on the mile-and-a-half tracks this year.
He's been great everywhere.
He really has.
He's Jimmie Johnson.
He's safe. See, that's me. I'm safe.
You're a safe guy.
You're a risk taker.
I wear the red. You wear the nice, comfortable blue.
That's the difference between us. Thank you, Bill Kim. I'm Vince Giulini. Everyone, enjoy the race. Have a very happy Memorial Day weekend. That's you.
Risk taker.
You are.
Risk taker. Living on the edge.
Mr. Vegas.
Yep.